Hi guys, Matt V's Movies back for another video. Today is another discussion video about physical media, speculation or preservation. So yeah, there's been a few videos going around of late sort of talking about this subject. I know AJ did a video on it and I thought, yeah, sort of why not give my thoughts on the subject. So we're going to get into that today on the channel. Speculation or preservation. I think as physical media collectors, a lot of us do keep editions sealed. Now, I've kind of been sort of thinking about this subject recently and thinking, why do we do this? And you know, there's two kind of reasons behind it, I think. One is speculation. I think as we see on eBay, you know, there's a lot of these editions that are certainly priced at silly money. Now, whether people actually achieve these amounts is up for debate. I guess it's depending on how much an item is worth to you, whether you're prepared to pay that for said edition. Or are we wanting to preserve these editions? Which camp are you in? Do you sort of hope to sort of buy something that's going to increase in value further down the line? Now, I think there are some collectors that will maybe buy multiple copies of a film, maybe open one and keep one sealed with the hope that maybe they might be able to make some money on it. You know, everyone's entitled to do whatever they want to do, and sometimes you can sort of, you know, make a bit of money on things. Generally, it's more of a shortened window, I think, on this kind of approach. Generally, if something goes out of print or out of stock, sometimes you can command more money on eBay. But again, it all comes down to whether that person who's buying the item is prepared to pay that. Now, personally, I'm not one for doing that. I don't buy multiple editions of films and keep one sealed and try to sell at profit. I kind of put myself in the shoes of somebody buying. If I was to want to buy that edition, you know, I'd like to buy it at the retail price. I don't want to have to pay an excess amount of money just to get it because it's all sold out elsewhere. Now, a lot of these people or people on eBay that do this are generally called scalpers, and I think a lot of people within the community kind of sort of look down on these sort of folk. At the end of the day, it's, you know, down to the individual what they do. If they want to do this, you know, I personally wouldn't do it. I do like the approach that certain companies will take, that they limit one item to a person, to an order. I think some people will buy, certainly with steelbooks, they might buy two because they're a bit worried that one might be dented. You know, there's the possibility if they only bought one, would it be then difficult for them to get the other one, you know, a replacement, this sort of a thing. But you know, I think that's just life. These things sometimes happen. I do think the approach of keeping it to one item per person gives everyone a chance that wants to own that particular edition. So I would like to see more retailers do this, but again, it's all individual and down to the retailer. So with speculation, obviously you're trying to make money out of it. You're hoping that it's going to increase in value. And my age group, we have seen this certainly with toys. The Star Wars toys that we grew up with, sealed editions of those now can go for crazy money. Now, are we kind of being sort of a bit conditioned to sort of think, well, actually, you know what, if we buy sealed editions of certain films, we could see those increase. Now, that is a potential that could happen in time, you know, in the next 20, 30, 40 years, if we do see physical media finishing. I guess there's the potential that these will become almost like antiques of the future. You know, there's always that possibility. However, I think maybe a lot of people are doing this now and keeping a lot of stuff sealed. So in a counter argument, you would say, well, really a lot of this stuff won't be valuable because of the collector speculative mentality behind it. So I don't really think it's really a good way to sort of collect, in my opinion. Personally, just collect for the films that you love, the editions that sort of speak to you. Yes, I do have editions, a few editions in my collection that I have kept sealed, and that is more the fact that I want to preserve that edition. Never say never, I may open these editions at some point. And at times I kind of struggle and think, why haven't you opened this? Should you open it? But then there's another part of me that thinks, well, actually, I've already got the film in a different edition. I can watch that film, but actually this edition is really, really nice. I may have paid a bit more money for it at the time. So there's a reluctance to open it because you want to keep it sealed to preserve it. For me, I don't really think there's the sort of drive to think, yeah, if I leave this sealed for another 10 years, it's going to increase in value. So probably will eventually get round to opening all of my editions. The way I typically collect is generally I buy sort of a lot of second-hand editions, and you may have seen it in previous videos where I create hybrid editions. So a steelbook from one edition and a slipcover double lenticular with all the goodies inside from another, and sort of bring the two together. Now, trying to resell that on the second-hand market, it would be virtually worthless. But not to me. To me, I feel like I'm creating an edition for myself. It's my collection. You know, the way that I look at my collection, all of this stuff in the future pretty much is going to be worthless. You know, it's probably going to end up in charity shops or on eBay, and people may buy it at a sort of discounted price. We've seen it with sort of the different formats. You know, you look back at the DVDs of old, you know, they're hardly worth anything. You get the odd one now and again which is worth some money. It might be a TV series or an out of print film that's never made it to Blu-ray or even 4K. And again, with VHS, there are some VHS horror films that have never ever got to even DVD. So yes, okay, you might get the odd one where it, you know, becomes quite valuable over time. With any sort of collecting, you're always going to get the odd one here and there that's going to hold some value, but generally speaking, most of this stuff is going to be worthless. As a collector, I think you have to ask yourself the question, what am I prepared to pay for a particular edition? You know, and I constantly ask myself this when I'm buying things on eBay. We do see editions sort of coming down in price quite quickly. I do see people buying items brand new for discounted prices and then actually being able to trade them in for more money on CEX. Now, I suppose you could say that is a bit of speculating, but are you just trying to do it just so that you can actually allow yourself to be able to sort of collect on a budget? I think it's actually quite a clever way of doing things. I don't necessarily feel it sort of fits into the speculating market. I think it's using an opportunity to see an item on sale that you can actually then flip it back onto CEX. They will give you a trade-in price. I guess you could sell it on eBay or Vinted, but then you've got the seller's fees, postage and all this kind of a thing. So what extra money you might make might be minimal. Whereas with a CEX trade-in, you may be getting double your money back to use for a voucher that you can purchase other items for your collection. I guess then that item then goes into the second-hand market, so it's still available for other collectors to be able to collect, maybe at a cheaper price than they could have bought it brand new. Obviously this is just my opinion, my thoughts on it, that if you're collecting to try and sort of speculate and to make money out of physical media, you might be lucky, you might get some editions that you make a bit of money on, but overall you're probably not really going to make any money out of collecting. You know, it's, in my opinion, you should collect for yourself. You should collect because you love the movies that you want. I personally, I don't collect films that I don't enjoy. One point I did used to blind buy items, but I've stopped doing that because generally if you don't enjoy a film, I don't want it in my collection. So I will try to either rent it first or wait for it to be on a cheaper price, before watching it, and then if I don't want the film in the collection, then I will move it on. For me, collecting is about preserving the films for yourself. You don't need to preserve it for others, but you do it for your own happiness. And I think you should collect to make you feel happy. If buying these films brings you no joy, then maybe you shouldn't really collect this sort of stuff, because ultimately with these collector's editions, I like to take them off the shelf from time to time, look at the edition, look at the postcards, the booklet, read the booklets, look at the posters. I mean, I don't have the room to put the posters up, but you can take the posters out and have a look at them. You should get enjoyment from the film ultimately, and all the special features, documentaries, etc. But if you're just collecting them with the hope that you're going to make some money in the future, I think you're going to be disappointed in the long run. Like I say, maybe the odd edition you're going to make a bit of money out, but it's kind of, I wouldn't recommend it, put it that way. So, what kind of collector are you? Are you the sort that collects because you want to enjoy the films that you love? You want the editions that you want? I mean, some people like the collector's editions. Some people are just happy with the standard editions, in whatever format. They might want it in DVD, Blu-ray, or even VHS, and obviously 4K. Personally, I still collect even DVD. I've given up collecting VHS, mainly because of the space stuff. I'm not picking up hardly any DVDs now, and not that much Blu-ray, some 4Ks. As I've said before, I'm limited on space, so I'm being very selective about what I collect now. But I want to get the best edition for me, to preserve that edition, so I've got the best edition that speaks to me, not to anyone else, and the value of that item doesn't really come into it. Obviously, when I'm purchasing the item, I have to make the decision: is this worth it to me? And it's either a yes or a no. So I'd be interested to hear your thoughts down in those comments. What's your approach to this? Are you looking to try and flip stuff? Do you consider sort of trading stuff in at CX to make a bit of extra credit? I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. Please give the video a thumbs up, that really does help out the channel, tells YouTube that you like these kind of chats, and that encourages me to create more videos like this, think of more ideas to discuss with you guys. You'll have probably seen a QR code that's been displayed. So that means if you're watching this on the television, and the stats show that a lot of people do, and you're not subscribed to the channel, get your mobile phone out, hover the camera over that QR code, and that will take you to a link to be able to subscribe to the channel. If you're watching this on mobile or a tablet or computer, you can subscribe in the usual way down below. Hit that notification bell so you'll be informed when I upload new videos like this. So I've got a wealth of playlists on the channel: action, sci-fi, a little bit of westerns, a little bit of horror, a little bit of martial arts. It's all there for people to go and browse at their leisure. So that's it, guys. End of another discussion. As I say, interested to hear your thoughts down below on this one. Take care. See you next time. Bye now.